The letter arrived in Maria's mailbox on a Tuesday, looking as harmless as any other piece of mail. It was from her condo association. She opened it while standing in her kitchen, the Miami sun streaming through the window of her 15th floor apartment. The view over Brickell Bay was, as always, spectacular, but the numbers on the page in her hand were anything but. Her share of the building's new special assessment was a figure so large it made her feel dizzy. It was a sum that represented years of her savings. A financial blow she had never anticipated when she bought her dream home in the iconic Four Ambassadors complex. This wasn't just a bill. It felt like an eviction notice disguised in formal language. All across the sprawling four-tower complex on Brickell Avenue, hundreds of other owners were experiencing the same gut-wrenching shock. The problems discovered at Four Ambassadors were not superficial flaws that a coat of paint could hide. The engineering reports detailed a litany of serious structural deficiencies, the kind that accumulate slowly and silently over decades. Inspectors found extensive concrete spalling, where concrete peels, pops out, flakes off. This was particularly prevalent in support columns and balcony slabs. These were not cosmetic issues, they were symptoms of a deeper sickness within the building's skeleton. Cracks snaked across load-bearing walls and beams, evidence of immense stress. The primary culprit was water intrusion, relentless in Miami's humid, salt-laden air. Over years, moisture reaches steel rebar. Corrosion expands like an internal jack, breaking concrete from the inside. Delamination. In the garage, columns supporting the towers showed visible distress. Concrete missing, skeletal rebar exposed, a red flag of the highest order. The damage was systemic, the cumulative effect of a subtropical environment on aging construction. The Surfside collapse was the earthquake that triggered a legislative tsunami in Tallahassee. In its wake, lawmakers raced to pass legislation to prevent it from ever happening again. The result was Senate Bill 4D, establishing statewide SIRS and mandatory milestone inspections. These laws fundamentally changed the rules for associations, replacing lax norms with a rigid framework of inspection, planning, and transparency. The era of deferring major structural repairs is over. First, milestone inspections. Within 3 miles of the coast, a comprehensive inspection by a licensed engineer or architect is required once a building reaches 25 years of age and every 10 years thereafter, replacing the old 40-year cycle. A Phase 1 visual inspection is required. Signs of substantial deterioration trigger Phase 2. Phase 2 can involve destructive testing, opening concrete, mapping rebar with ground-penetrating radar, and lab-analyzing core samples. The new SIRS and milestone inspection laws armed engineers with a mandate to be uncompromising. Recommendations have become obligations to flag deterioration. A new era of hyper-vigilant inspections has begun. Closer looks, deeper probing, meticulous documentation. They are no longer just consultants. They are safety auditors whose reports carry the weight of state law and Surfside's memory. Phase 1. A thorough visual survey, from foundation to rooftop. Inspectors walk every balcony, tap garage columns, and scan exteriors for cracks, spalling, and water stains.
We are trained to see what the average person misses.
A small hairline crack, in the right place, tells a story about structural stress nobody else notices. If concerns arise, Phase 2 begins. Strategic removals, radar mapping, and core testing provide undeniable evidence. At Four Ambassadors, the data was precise and devastating. Systemic progressive decay, and a $56 million price tag. When a condo association faces a repair bill that dwarfs its funds, options are few. They look to reserves, too often underfunded for years. At Four Ambassadors, reserves were nowhere near the $56 million needed. Two paths remain: take a massive loan, levy a special assessment, often both. Loans spread cost over years, but interest adds millions, paid through higher monthly fees for 15, even 20 years. Lenders often require assessment powers as collateral. The risk doesn't vanish, it grows. Special assessments are the fastest, most direct way to raise large sums. The math is brutal. Total cost divided by unit shares, typically by square footage. Owners face deadlines, lump sums, or a few large installments. a shockwave hitting every household at once. For retirees or young families, an $80,000 to $100,000 bill can be impossible, triggering debt, sales, or despair. Four Ambassadors is a canary in the coal mine for Miami. Hundreds of coastal towers are aging into the inspection window. A wave of multi-million-dollar assessments is probable, not hypothetical. The ripple extends to values, insurance, and the desirability of condo living. Savvy buyers now demand engineering reports and the SIRs. Healthy reserves command premiums. Deferred maintenance becomes a liability. Lenders tighten, insurers raise premiums, or refuse coverage, blocking mortgages. With much of Miami's housing stock in towers, simultaneous distress could pressure the entire market and strain middle-class and elderly owners. For owners in the storm, inaction isn't an option. Get informed and get involved. Demand transparency. Read the engineering reports and reserve studies. Do not rely on summaries. Ask, what is the exact damage? What is the repair timeline? What financial options exist? Request contractor bids and fee structures from engineers and project managers. Explore alternatives and phasing. Pursue bank loans to ease shocks. Owners have voting power. Use it wisely. Consult a financial advisor and an attorney. Boards. Commission studies early, hire reputable firms, and communicate constantly to build trust. Call for state and local assistance. Low-interest loan funds, grants for life safety, prioritizing low-income and elderly residents.